Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel here on YouTube is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, and things that I do every day in my own voiceover business, and then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a few topics. We try to stick to one, but you know how it goes. But anyway, if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll. That is usually the topic of the day. And today's topic we're talking about, the title of this video is, just to back up, is Am I good enough, or is my voice good enough for voiceover? So I get this question a lot, and it is something that the question is, how do I know if my voice is good enough for voiceover? Because I know that usually that question is preceded with, I'm told a lot that my voice would be great for this, and I have a great voice, so on and so forth. And how do I know if my voice is good enough? Well, I think, personal opinion, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's great if you have, the articulation and, you could speak clearly, which is always a definite help when it comes to voiceover and audiobook narration. But we need to stop worried about, if you're good enough for it. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, then you know that I always say that voice actors represent the world. We represent the voices of the world, and not everybody has a perfectly clear, articulate voice. Not everybody does. And not every project or every client is going to be wanting to look for that perfect voice, that, how much I hate that word perfect. It's great to get the training, as I often say, get the training and make sure that you're speaking clearly. But there really isn't a way to, is your voice good enough? I often cringe when I hear that question. I think that question comes down to just being like a possible limiting belief, right? Because we go, oh, my voice isn't good enough, or whatever. And it makes me cringe when I hear that, because I wish that you would just give it a try instead of, asking that question. Because not everybody's voice is perfect. And I feel a tangent coming. Okay, let's just go over to the poll. Okay, so the poll today is, which is more important for voiceover success in your opinion? I wanted to kind of, as always, sort of take the temperature of the room, see what everybody's feeling. 22% of you, 27 votes so far, 22% of you said improving the quality of your voice. 26% of you said training, script interpretation. None of you said staying on top of trends, which I'm surprised to hear. But a good half of you said marketing, networking, and visibility. Now, I don't think there is necessarily a correct or right answer in these selections here, in these options. However, I do have to say that all of them are important to some degree. I think the least important, if you're starting to pick up what I'm putting down here, is improving the quality of your voice. Because I think that is where we sort of limit ourselves. Well, we tell ourselves that we're not good enough, or I can't do X, Y, Z. We're comparing ourselves. It sort of borders on that comparisonitis, right? You hear Morgan Freeman, or you hear, whomever that you admire and follow. Usually professional actors that have been doing this for a long period of time, and then you compare your voice to their voices. And you shouldn't be doing that. You should not be doing that. Your voice is unique to you, and how your voice is different is what sets you apart and makes you equally as important and marketable in its own right. Right? So I would say improving the quality of your voice, maybe making sure that you're speaking clear enough to understand words, maybe, but I think that is the least important. Again, these are all my personal opinions. You guys can have your own, that's fine. I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong answer here, but I think improving the quality of your voice is probably the least important here. I do think that staying on top of trends is important. It's not as important as marketing, networking, and visibility, because how else are you supposed to market yourself and your business if you're not in the eye, right? Training in its script interpretation is almost as equally important as marketing and visibility. Because if you don't understand what you're meant to be saying or how you're meant to be expressing it, then you're not doing your job, right? So I would say those two are pretty important. But then also, again, staying on top of trends is equally important, because if you recall, 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, the announcer voice is what everybody wanted. And now everyone's looking for They're looking for the more conversational, relatable, everyday average Joe kind of voice, right? The conversational voice. That is the trend now. It could possibly change again at any given point in time in the future. So staying on top of what is trending is just as important as marketing, training, script interpretation. So I would say training, trends, and marketing are more important than improving the quality of your voice. Okay, let's go over to the comments and let's see what everybody else is saying. Dwight was here before I even got here this morning. Dwight says, "Good morning to you, the divine Miss Olfest and my fellow Olfestinians. I hope you all have a wonderful VO day. Now let's get to it, shall we?" Dwight, you and your weird little names for me. Dwight said, I answered improving my voice, but in reality, at any given time, it could be any and all of the choices given. Today and for the near future, better sounding performances. Absolutely. Eric. Hello, Eric. Hello. I chose marketing as the most important, but man, I wish it wasn't so. I'm so behind on this. I just can't seem to get on the bandwagon. Yeah, marketing is tough. Marketing is definitely tough. There are so many different avenues for it. And I have found it for myself as a self-proclaimed introvert. Marketing myself has been very tough. You probably are asking, well, if you're an introvert, why the heck are you on YouTube? Because it was an idea that someone had planted in my head, and it sort of just kind of took off, and I'm sort of used to it now. So it's not that big of a deal for me, but I can understand for someone who isn't used to creating content, how marketing could be a little bit intimidating, daunting, terrifying in some cases. And I can still understand that. Not only that, but it does take time. It takes a little bit of creativity and effort, you know? Not to mention if you get stuck in the, well, what the heck do I post? You know, what kind of content do I even make? And again, it doesn't all have to be voiceover or audiobook narration related. It could be a little bit about yourself. You know, you're out walking the dogs, you're on your way to hot yoga class. I mean, whatever it is. It's okay to be a person on social media. That's what people are looking for. They want to be, they want to have a way to connect with you, right? Some sort of content that makes you relatable, that makes you a person in their eyes, which I think is very important especially for us as voice actors. Any way that a client can see that you're not using anything artificial in any way, shape, or form, that it is really you as a genuine person, being the voice of their project or, anything of that nature, I think is very important. And I think being found on social media is definitely a way to go. I know a lot of people that have found success doing just that, being visible on social media. As long as you're making it known that that is what you do, that is your profession, it doesn't all have to be voiceover or audiobook narration related, right? The content that you create. So I understand that, Eric. Peak Parable says, I answered visibility and networking. I interpret this as just getting out there, getting work and auditioning. That is also part of marketing. If you look at your auditions as marketing, then that'll definitely change your view on marketing. It is a form of marketing. It's a first impression for clients, right? I have had many instances where I have submitted an audition to a client and I was not fit for the role that I was auditioning for. According to the client, they didn't think that I was a fit for that project, but they had something else coming up in the near future that they thought I was a better fit for. So it is still a form of marketing. So look at it that way. Make sure that you're giving the best that you can, right? That it fits the tech specs or the feel. Make sure that you're understanding the script and giving it your best interpretation. I know a lot of the times in auditions, whatever the client's looking for may not be perfectly articulated, and it might be even a little vague, and you'll have to just sort of shoot your best shot with the audition. But whatever you're doing, make sure that your whole heart is in it, right? Do all the things that we always talk about. Understand the script, understand the emotions and feelings that you are meant to evoke in the listener. Fix your face, get your props, whatever it is that you need to get to that place mentally to deliver that effectively, and do it. Give it your best shot for an audition. Don't just do it because you had to hit your quota for the day, right? Don't just, just get the audition done because you told yourself you were going to hit 5 in that day or 10 in that day or whatever, and that was the last to get you there. Give them all your best shot because that is a form of marketing for sure. By doing auditions, you can gain money, also learning what is needed to improve on voice. Caesar's here. Hey, Caesar. How you doing, buddy? Oh, hi, Angela. At first, I believed it was voice quality, but training and script interpretation brings jobs. And marketing visibility helps people find you and offer you jobs. Yes. And I keep looking over at the poll. Still, none of you have voted for staying on top of trends. But I guess out of all of the choices, I get it. Caesar then says, voice is great, but not the end all. You could have a great voice and voice quality, but if you're not out there booking work, you might as well be talking into a padded room all by yourself. Well, generally that's what we're doing anyway, right? But we get paid to do it, right? I have a t-shirt in my shop that says that. I get paid to, I sit in a padded room all day and talk to myself and get paid for it. That's what we're doing, right? Caesar says that said, hello, everyone. Angela, I love last Thursday's Platinum Workshop with Eric and Dwight. I'd like to see that workshop in rotation every month from this point onward. It was illuminating. Yep, I'm hearing that a lot. And they did, Eric and Dwight took over for me in Thursday's Platinum group, and they did a really great job on script interpretation. So we're definitely going to start incorporating those kinds of exercises, I think, going forward. I planned anyway to have one in February, but I thought me hurting myself was a great opportunity to start, to give it a shot. I'm glad it turned out well. Jim is here. Hey, Jim. Good morning from chilly Memphis. Pam is here. Hey, Pam. Good morning, all. Job well done. So thank you, Eric and Dwight. Good morning, all. Becca Sue says, good morning from sunny Virginia. I answered training script interpretation, but man, marketing is a close second. Yeah, for sure. Caretaker Saxon says, slips in just in time to not have to bring donuts. Come on, somebody's got to have donuts. Hi, everybody. Hello, Saxon. Tanya's here. Evening, all. Dwight says, and you call yourself Caretaker Saxon. Tisk, tisk, tisk. You should have still brought the donuts. That's what I'm saying. We need some donuts. And Fritz is here. Good morning, VO peeps. I chose marketing because that is the hardest thing for me to complete right now. Yeah, I totally get the whole marketing thing. I think something needs to click, right? Like what am I going to, how do I want to word this? What is the direction, or what is the, dare I say, like the shtick? Like what is going to be my thing, right? On marketing. What am I going to focus on? What am I going to make content about? You could beta test a lot of different ideas, right? You could be like the morning affirmation person, but make it a little bit cheeky. You could be, you could produce short little meditation things because, anything in the spiritual realm right now is metaphysical, is kind of popular. You could forecast the weather in certain areas, but again, in a way that's sort of cheeky, right? Something that has to stand out and be memorable, right? But also share a little content about yourself as well, right? So think outside the box. Come up with something that you could do like your thing with marketing. It doesn't all have to be professional business. It doesn't have to be perfectly polished and edited. If you all know who Gary Vee is, he always says it doesn't have to be professional. It could be, it could look and sound like you did it in 5 seconds. The point to marketing on social media is that it needs to be consistent. So choose a direction and do it. And you can even beta test, like I said before. Try a couple of different things and see what gets more views or clicks or whatever. Stopping that tangent right now. David Brumfield said, hello, Angela, from Hamilton, Ontario. Hello, David. Peak Parable says, voices matter in helping tone. The voice of Mel Blanc with Elmer Fudd would sound very different if instead you heard the voice of Darth Vader with James Earl Jones. Yes, exactly. Gregory is here. Hey, Gregory. Sup, folks? I found that it doesn't matter if folks in the industry like you or that you develop a good rapport. If you don't get in there and market yourself, you will not be top of mind. And keep in mind also that what you think of your voice does not matter. That also piggybacks off of the improving the quality of your voice, because what you think could be a problem or something that sticks out as something, not hireable, like something that you think that is not going to be in demand with clients, probably isn't even the thing. That could be also the thing that sets you apart from everyone else auditioning, right? So I think, all of this just comes back to mindset. Here goes the tangent. Mindset, right? If you think about everything through a positive lens and just do it because you want to do it, regardless of what other little voices are yapping at you, just do it. Because your opinion ultimately does not matter. It's either, it's the client's opinion. Are you the right fit for this project? Yeah. Maybe that nasally quality to your voice that absolutely irritates you is the thing that gets you hired, right? So stop limiting yourself based on what you think, because ultimately what you think does not matter, right? Again, if you're in groups or masterminds, workshops, things like that, you can get feedback from other people, and they will tell you if there's something going on maybe with the sound quality of your room, or maybe you could have put more emphasis on this word versus this word to give more impact in your interpretation of your script. But most of the time, the feedback doesn't involve what you sound like your voice itself. More often than not, it's your room quality or script interpretation is usually what it comes down to. Bob Reed says, you have to be seen. If they don't know you're out there, they won't come to you. That's where I fall short. I don't do marketing. It's kind of the nature of the beast, for any business. You have to market your business. You got to. Caesar says, I have a voice like an idling Ford Mustang. And I still manage to get work. Nobody needs a perfect voice. Caesar, I don't know if I would describe your voice that way. If any of you have not heard Caesar, when I first heard Caesar, he reminded me of Tim Curry. Tim Curry's voice. If you've ever seen, like the Rocky Horror Picture Show or Legend or Clue, or I think he was even in one of the Home Alone movies. He's been in a lot of movies. Great actor. But that's what Caesar's voice reminds me of. I don't know if I would call that an idling Ford Mustang. So you can't talk. You already have a great voice. Angel says, hello, everyone. Dallas temp now at 50 degrees. Thank God. Dallas is literally turning into Chicago. What is it here? Oh, it's 50 degrees here, too, in Phoenix. I'll take it. It's better than, being in the negatives for sure. Jim Williams says, natural resonance makes a voice easier to understand. I have that sometimes. Peak Parable says, character and voice and tone matter. When auditioning for a book or script, different people have different vision in mind. Yes. And keep in mind, again, clients can't always articulate exactly what it is that they need, right? But if you take the time and really understand the script, whatever is given to you, sometimes if you're auditioning for a book, they won't give you the whole book. You won't be able to read the whole book. So you're usually limited in context, right? Like what the surrounding context or character attributes or anything like that. But you have to really understand what is being said, where the characters are, like put yourself in their shoes and understand where they're coming from and why they're saying what they're saying. If you can take the time to do that and allow yourself to become the character, that will serve you a whole lot more than what your voice sounds like, right? Because every character is going to have a different personality, attitude, tone, right? Based on wherever it is they're coming from. Okay, I'm going to stop blathering about that before the tangent comes. Peak Parable says, by marketing your voice, take two. By marketing, you make yourself known to help people make yourself known to help people's vision your voice in their role? I think I know what you're saying. Yeah. Because you could have an author, perhaps. I think this is what you're saying. Let's just say you're on social media and you have an author, perhaps, looking. Maybe the seed was just planted about somebody had mentioned, yes, I've got an audiobook version of my book and it's doing really well. So then an author's going, yeah, maybe I should look into an audiobook as well. And they're scrolling through social media and they come across your page and they go, you know what? Her voice or his voice would be perfect for this character in the audiobook. Maybe I should reach out to them and see if they'd be interested. It happens like that all the time. So marketing yourself is super important. Not only that, but in networking with other voice actors, getting onto social media and commenting, liking, following other voice actors and audiobook narrators, because we refer people to other people all the time. I may be too busy, or maybe I don't think I'll be a fit for this role, but you know what? I know someone who would be perfect for it. Let me get you their contact information. Happens all the time. So you gotta be visible for all the reasons. Tanya says, I did worry that my British RP accent would be considered old-fashioned. I do other accents and characters, but so far my natural voice and clarity have proved most popular. But I couldn't have done, where's the continuation? Anything without technical training or marketing info. Exactly. I find the same, no matter what I've tried in terms of character voices, accents, stuff like that. This voice is what I get hired for most often, 95% of the time. Even in video games, it's just this voice. This one we just on. Colorado Von Longdong. Still pretty new around here. Do questions need to be about the subject of stream? No, not necessarily. We usually veer off topic a handful of times. So if you have something specific you'd like to ask, go ahead and ask it. As long as it's related to voiceover and audiobook narration, please. Jim says, continuing to make auditions of the same copy months later shows some growth over time. Gregory says, and other priorities will push you back, if not out. Everyone, even McDonald's and Target, keeps marketing so that they remain top of mind. We have to get out there and make ourselves known. And that is where consistency comes in, right? Not only does it help the algorithms on whatever social media platforms that you're pushing out the content onto, but also keeps you top of mind for those people that are scrolling through, right? What's that statistic? That it usually takes 5 touches or being seen or emails or whatever it is. It usually takes up to 5 touches for someone to hire you. So the faster or the more consistent you are, the higher your probability of achieving those 5 touches to be hired. So being consistent is going to do nothing but help you get hired or seen faster. Okay, that was a continuation. Lacey Renee Marie says, hello all. I chose quality of voice mostly because I'm dealing with voice fatigue. I'd be grateful for any tips. To be honest, Lacey, I wouldn't say that voice fatigue is quality of voice. I would just say that's just a natural occurrence with talking a lot. I would say whatever it is that you're doing, if it's a long project, like if we're talking audiobooks, to make sure that you have ample time to produce the audiobook. As I always say, give yourself an extra week. Like, calculate how long it's going to take you to produce this audiobook, and then tack on another week or a few days or 2 weeks, depending on how big the book is. That way, you can allow yourself ample time to take breaks. Take a day off if you have to. Rest this. Make sure that you're hydrated. Get up and go walk around every couple of hours. Do something else. Clear the mind. Rest the voice. Hydrate. Do all the things. Make sure that you're getting ample rest. Right? That will definitely help with voice fatigue. And also, if we're talking about character voices, like if you have some really demanding, like vocally demanding character voices that you've chosen for a character, let's just back up here. While you're in the character voice development process, be sure that you're choosing a voice for a character that you can comfortably sustain, because that is the fastest way to just absolutely tear up your voice. And then you can't narrate any of the book, right? After just doing one character for so long in a voice that you cannot sustain. So be gentle and kind to yourself in this process and allow yourself lots of breaks, lots of hydration, so on and so forth. That will definitely help with voice fatigue. And I would say in between books or in between projects, practice a lot. Read everything out loud. It will help to build up that lung capacity and the ability to narrate for long periods of time. And you'll start to learn, you'll start to feel when you're starting to get to that raspy point, and you'll know it's time to take a break, or, when you need a day off. Bob says, there was a 2-hour presentation on something I wanted to learn about, but the presenter was boring and he whistled his S's. No, I lasted 15 minutes, but God bless him, he has work. Yeah. I think that has to be, I want to say the worst part, but maybe a negative, a con to getting into this business is that once you start to recognize plosives and sibilants and mouth noise and, breaths and all of the editing techniques and all of the things, then you'll start to hear them everywhere. And once you hear them, you can't unhear them. Yeah, I feel you. Glowin says, happy Tuesday, Angela and chat. Hope you're all having a great day and your coffee is hot. It's not. It's like room temp. But coffee, nonetheless. So I like it. Need it. Want it. Have it. Nate Rick says, yes, very true. Marketing. Marketing and training and script interpretation, I would say, are probably the two most important on there. Just glancing over at the poll, 54 votes right now. 19% of you said improving the quality of your voice. 35% of you said training, script interpretation. And still none of you think that staying on top of trends is important. That surprises me. But still a good half of you said marketing, networking, and visibility. Yeah, if I had to rank these, I would say marketing, training, trends, and then improving the sound of your voice. That's how I would rank them. Faux show. Glowin says to Angela, I hope you're feeling better. Missed you Thursday night. Chose the training option. Yeah, I got a little overzealous on the leg press. Hurt my back a little bit. Yeah. Becca Sue says, having a different voice is good too. I was listening to an audiobook where the guy sounded a little too much like Leonard Nimoy. Uh-oh. That I found myself super distracted. Eric says, you said, what kind of content do I even make? That's my biggest stumbling block. I figured that's what it was. That's typically what it is. I know that was one of my concerns. That was one of my obstacles, right? Is figuring out what kind of content to create. And ultimately what I decided on was just sort of like a come with me on my journey sort of a thing, right? Just to share with you what I have already learned through the process of learning all of this, right? That was sort of my approach. You could do the same. Come with me. Let's do this together. Let me show you what I'm learning or what I have learned, right? Do that. It's ultimately what I did for the most part. Jim says authenticity is most important. People can tell if a voice is speaking honestly. This is where human voice does some AI cannot. Authenticity. Becca Sue says to Eric, what's something you love and could talk about? Example, I love D&D, but I have ADHD. What a fun combo to talk about. I hope. Caesar says to Eric, I think I posted some examples on Discord some weeks back, actually. Want me to make you a content calendar? Caesar, you are amazing, but sir, don't put way too much on your plate. I know you're a busy guy. Nate says, I like to audition, practice. There's so much you can learn from just auditioning. So much you can learn just through that, right? As long as you're paying attention. As long as you're paying attention to the tech specs, you're paying attention to, again, the script interpretation part, what it is that you are meant, like the W's, right? Let me just back up. I know I'm all over the place and I apologize. The W's. Who am I as the narrator? Who am I talking to? And why am I talking to them, right? If you as the narrator are a doctor speaking to a room full of other doctors, you're going to have a specific tone. Are you giving a presentation? Are you sharing information? What are you doing? That's going to have a whole different tone versus you, the narrator, as a kindergarten teacher, speaking to a room full of kindergartners about today's lesson. That's going to be a whole different tone. So if you can take the time to understand the script and understand who you are, who you're talking to, and why you're talking to them, right? And then also if there are any kind of feelings, emotions, what is the point even of the script? To share information? Is it a call to action? What is it that you're meant to be doing with this script? What is the purpose of this script? All of those things will determine your tone and your approach to how you audition for it, right? David said, thank you for your explanation of how everyone's voice is unique and thus makes you unique, etc. This is encouraging. Good. That was my intent. That was my intention for this because I hear that a lot. How do I know if I'm good enough? Just do it. Don't worry about that. Just do it. Join groups, join masterminds, workshops, whatever it is. Get in there with your peers. Get onto social media. Get the training, get the practice in, and just go. Stop worrying about how you can limit yourself or how you can stop yourself. Stop giving yourself an out. Just go. Just do it. Right? Don't make me give you the mom look, because I will. Caesar says, to Peak Parables, incidentally, I tried reaching out to you through one of the shorts you posted on YouTube. My comment with my email was blocked in chat. Ooh. Nate says, I've had clients that would do 10 takes to just get it right. And you can do that too with auditions. If what the client is looking for is super vague or they give you no direction at all, they just give you a little snippet of what it is that they want an audition of and no background, context, nothing. And the script could sort of go one of two ways or one of three ways in your mind, then give them 2 or 3 different takes. Just be sure that at the beginning of the recording that you state as much, right? This is take 1 of 3. And then, that way you're giving the listener a heads up that there's more than one take. If you don't tell them that there's more takes there, then they'll listen through literally the first few seconds of your first take and not even know that the right one was at the end. Right? Right. Because not everybody's going to listen, not every client is going to listen through the entire take. They're going to know if you're a right fit for their project within the first few seconds of the audition. Caesar says, in terms of content, I intend to go strong with YouTube's social media journey. I just need to clear my backlog first. Exactly. You're putting way too much on your plate, bro. Eric Chapman says, all the things on the poll are important, so it's hard to pick. I know, because I'm tricky. Tricky. Caesar says, as for following current trends, that is vital to going viral and getting short bursts of mass followers. It can be very valuable. However, it can make you feel a little cheap sometimes. Yes. Following the trends can definitely get, not only for your business, can not only help your business, but can also, I'm trying to get my mouth and my brain to align here, can also, to Caesar's point, make you a trend or put you on trend for social media, right? I don't know exactly about viral. I'm hoping that you do, but could definitely have more interest to more people if you are on that current trend. That's what I was trying to say. Yes, apparently more coffee is needed. Diane says, what do you feel is the best way to stay on top of trends? How can we evaluate them? I would say social media is a great way to see what is trending, what people are talking about. When you're on social media and you're marketing yourself, follow authors, follow video game creators, you could even follow like video game players. Let's just say that you're looking to get into video game voiceovers. If you follow everyone under that umbrella, from creators, businesses, players even, and watch their content and see what's being said. What are they talking about? What are they doing? You'll start to pick up what is trending, right? So follow all the businesses, follow all of your fellow voice actors, and then also paying attention to what is currently being asked for in a lot of audition scripts. Or what are you seeing more and more of, right? If you're on like a Fiverr platform or Upwork platform, and you go to page 1 of your fellow voice artists as a buyer and see what they're offering, right? What kind of voiceovers are they doing most often? What's their price point? What are the words that they're using in their profile? Because if they're popular right now, then there's something in their profile that is making them searchable, that people are searching for the kind of content that they're creating or the kind of voiceovers that they're doing. Does that make sense? So just be vigilant, pay attention, to what is going on, the words that are being used, what is being asked for. Does that make sense? Nate says getting seen, getting yourself out there. Caesar says to Diane, a good example was the Depp Heard trial. Everybody was scouring the web for personal takes, summaries, highlights, breaking news. You can capitalize on a popular topic and write it. For social media content, yes. Dwight says, I was just listening to your comment about what is going to be my thing, but the words that came right after are key. You said the words focus on. That is the key to anything. Nate says, yes, consistent. Dwight says, continuing. Focusing is the key. Pick a direction and try it out. Evaluate success of it and adjust as necessary. Marketing is no different. Christine brought the donuts. Thank you, Christine. Nate says, yep. Jim says, how many samples in ACX is a good idea? As many as possible. If you're open to doing any kind of genre, then post a sample of every kind of genre from every angle that you can think of. And then remember to recycle them. That's the most important part. So pick an interval if you're going to take them down and resubmit them every other day, once a week, once a month, whatever interval you choose. Just make sure that you're reposting them. Because again, keep in mind that on ACX, as soon as you post a sample, it's posted chronologically. So you post a sample, and then you're at the top of page 1 for available narrators, and then someone 2 minutes later posts 5 samples, then you're now in the 6th slot, and then so on and so forth. And then throughout the course of the day or the week or whatever, now you're on page 6. So take them down, put them back up, recycle them. So you're always towards the top of the searchable list without using filters or anything. But If you're doing male and female voices, for example, have a sample that has a little snippet of both of those. If you do horror or drama or sci-fi, if you're doing character voices, anything, any kind of little angle that you can think of, give a sample of that. Make that a sample and post it. There's no limit, as far as I know, on ACX to the number of samples that you can post. So take advantage of that. Post away. I've heard several to voice different topics in the books. Exactly. Caesar says, lately, for example, Onyx Storm, and I'm still trying to find the time to get to mine. My book just arrived. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Came out and everybody's lost their minds about it. So you can get into that and join the viral wave of book talkers screaming praises about it. I'm trying to stay away because I don't want any spoilers. But yes, if you're into books, being on Book Talk or in book circles, definitely a good idea. Paul says, howdy, howdy, howdy. Howdy to you, Paul. Jim says, oh yes, the group in Discord have been very helpful in critiquing my samples. Wow, it's been 40-something minutes already. That was fast. Kyle said, I'm taking a great voiceover class through a respected acting school in Chicago. I love it. I have a good setup in my home, but I can't work up the courage to actually submit an audition in ACX. Why? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that someone's going to tear you down? Are you afraid that you're going to be successful? What are you afraid of? I find that when most people say that, they're afraid that this dream is going to come crumbling down. Right? Their first step out gets them nowhere. Well, let me tell you, Kyle, that is generally what happens with your first audition. You're not always going to book a job on your first audition. It takes usually multiple auditions to book a job. And you know why that is? It's not because you stink. It's not because you shouldn't be doing this. It's not because, maybe you're cut out for doing something else. It means that your voice just wasn't the right one for that project. Go audition more. Right? Don't look at rejection as like, you shouldn't be doing this. It's not failure. It's you just weren't the right voice for this project. So go find one that is. And how you find one is by auditioning. So go audition, go do it a lot. And just so you know, authors aren't usually in the habit of giving you feedback and telling you that you absolutely stink or anything like that. There's literally nothing to be afraid of. Just get your voice out there and get on it. Get to it. Once you get that first one done, your confidence is going to skyrocket because it's done. It's in the past. You've already done it. Yeah, I auditioned. I'm going to go audition again. Right? So just go get started. Just go do it. They'll be fine. They'll be fine, Kyle. My cup of tea says donuts have been provided. They are in the staff room. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Diane says, thank you, Caesar. I was thinking of voice type. Angela gave the example of announcer style used to be the trend, then natural became more desired. How do I determine what's preferred present time? By doing what I said. Getting onto social media and reading audition scripts or tech specs, right? What are they asking for? If you start to just get out there and pay attention to all of these things, then you'll start to see what is trending. What are you seeing more and more of, right? It's still pretty much conversational right now from what I'm seeing. But once you start to see a little bit of a shift in what clients are asking for or what is being talked about, even in your own TV watching sessions, right? If you're watching TV and a commercial comes on and you're starting to see a trend in a completely different type of delivery, that could be a new trend emerging, right? So just being actively listening, actively paying attention to these things is going to help you find new trends emerging. Caesar says to Diane, watch movies. Watch high visibility and high engagement content online. These days, everybody likes approachable, conversational, natural, as opposed to theatrical and projected. The announcer voice, right? Jim says, but what physical things do you do to market? Is it all sending out samples to production companies such as video producers, e-learning animation studios? Yes. Yes. Reaching out to different companies, publishers, authors, making sure that you're in their circles on social media, right? Don't overthink it too much. Just get out there and make some connections. Caesar said, a good example. Watch The Wizard of Oz. Then watch Wicked. Listen to a radio broadcast from the 1930s, then watch Markiplier. I love Markiplier. Becca Sue says to Caesar, let me put this down so I don't spill it all over myself, because I totally will do it. But I'm trained in theatrical and projected. But it's been an adjustment to realize I don't have to act to the back row in my padded closet. And I can totally get that. We have some stage actresses in our platinum group that I'm sure would echo the same. And it just takes a little bit of practice to sort of undo that thinking. And I don't know if Pam is still here, but Pam could probably attest to this. Just takes a little bit to undo that thinking and not having to project your voice, that you could just sit here and just talk normally. Same with DJs, former DJs. There's a lot of former DJs that I've worked with that have a specific kind of delivery of their voice. You know, that's sort of ingrained in them from their DJing days, right? And that just takes a practice to sort of undo or to show that there is a different kind of delivery that they can also do. That might not feel as natural because the other way of doing it is sort of beaten into them after years and years and years. But it's just in time and practice and training. That's all. Caesar says to Becca, I hear ya. It's an adjustment to be certain. On the other hand, I'm sure a voice like yours has excellent signal-to-noise ratio. Jim says, do you market in X? I have not been on that site in a while. Me? No. No, not really. I'm mainly on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Carmen says, good afternoon, everyone, from a sunny 65 degrees in Gainesville, Florida. Yes, I brought donuts for everyone. Good. This point, but struggling media and you can't get hired if no one knows you. Yep, you got to market. Lorna says, good frosty morning from Beaverton, Oregon. Sunny and 30 degrees. My voice is getting better on my training videos. Practice makes better. Thank you for not saying perfect. I hate that word. Voiceover Van Deen says, afternoon to you. Over Ponders. Day is done here in the UK and now sitting relaxing with a pint of tea and my pup on my knee. Oh, you're a rhymer. You're a poet and probably didn't know it. Tanya says, I've been meaning to ask, is it acceptable to use unsuccessful auditions as samples and demos? I think it depends on the platform itself that you auditioned on. For example, on Voice 123, for example, is what immediately comes to mind. Each audition that you audition for, it does say in the audition itself, does the voice actor have permission to use this for marketing purposes or something to that effect? Yes or no, right? And the client will choose yes or no. I think on ACX, I have done this on ACX by using audiobook samples of auditions that I have done for marketing demo purposes. I mean, you're not saying that you wrote the book. I mean, it's always good to check with the rights holder, of course, but ultimately you're not saying you wrote the book. You're not saying, anything like that. You're just showing a demonstration of your narration skills. But I think it's really going to depend on the platform from which you auditioned on, like if they generally will allow you to or not, or if the client specifically said yes or no or something to that effect. But just keep in mind that the demo that you're creating using these auditions that didn't win the job is usually going to be replaced in 6 months anyway, with probably work that you did do. Does that make sense? So it's not like this demo that you're creating now is going to be the same demo you're using 5 years from now. You're just not. We usually make new demos every 6 months to a year. Some people even more frequently. It's kind of how I look at it. Rustic Hillbilly, good morning. Good morning to you. Caesar says to Tanya, of course, just because you didn't land the job doesn't mean it sucks. You just didn't happen to be the voice the author wanted. Of course. Jim says, been 5 hours since breakfast, so I'm going to have to leave and make lunch. Catch you on Discord. Enjoy your lunch, Jim. Tanya says, thanks, Caesar. Dylan is here. Hey, Dylan. I selected marketing because I've heard some truly bad VOs get work. It has to be so they know because it's not what they can do. Sorry for being sassy. I'm sick and behind on work because of it. A lot of people sick right now, Dylan. I feel you. Caesar says to Dylan, I know, right? Sometimes I'm like, how did this person even get this job? Also, feel better soon. They got the job, Caesar, because they were who the client chose. Right? No stinking thinking. Carmen says, good afternoon, everyone. From a sunny 65 degrees, Gainesville, Florida. I brought the chocolate croissants. You are now my favorite, Carmen. Glowen says, question, to those of you that are seeing success or already successful, should I be just plugging out all those RS books on ACX to build a portfolio if I can land them? I mean, there's nothing wrong with royalty share. There's nothing wrong with royalty share books. A lot of times they get a bad rap. As long as you're choosing, as long as you're taking the time to choose royalty share books that just make sense, right? If the author perhaps already has a built-in fan base, if they are an established author and this is just one of several books they already have on sale, if it's got good reviews, if it's an evergreen topic, if it's something that's trendy, as long as you've taken all of those factors into account, I mean, royalty share is not a bad deal. You can sometimes make more in royalty share than you would have in per finished hour. So just, take those things into account and go apply for or audition for royalty share books. Go do it. Carmen says, thank you, Angela, for this. This is super helpful for a newbie VO. Good. I'm glad. Dylan says to Becca Sue, some of my favorite sessions have been labeled ADHD and D. Our DM has it also and completely understands. Calrito says, what would be a good place to start besides audiobooks? I'm not opposed to audiobook narration, but I have a 50-plus hour a week soul-crushing job and just wouldn't have the time to read full books. You know what? I was in the exact same place as you are when I first started with audiobooks 6 years ago, almost 7 years ago at this point. I did it. I had to understand my schedule, where I needed to be when, and I sacrificed about 2 hours every night, sometimes more on the weekends, and I was still able to get these audiobooks done, doing the job that I was doing, working 50 plus hours a week. So if I can do it, you can do it. It comes down to your drive and your desire and your want to do this, like your why, right? Don't ever tell yourself that you can't. Don't limit yourself. Get rid of all of that negative self-talk. Don't tell yourself that I have this, this, and this, and I can't do this. Well, you can. You might have to give up an hour of sleep here or there. You might have to give up an hour of TV watching here or there. You might have to, you know what I mean? If you really want this, you'll find a way to make this work. Because once you start establishing yourself and you start to get repeat business and things start to take off, then eventually, much like myself, on almost 2 years in, about 1.5 to 2 years in, your voiceover or audiobook work is outpacing, or Maybe you're even losing out on business because you're employed, you're working for somebody else. It's what happened to me. My business was making more money than I was making being employed. So, but you have to start. You have to start, and you have to start building it at some point. So my advice to you is just if you want this bad enough, just find a way. Find a way to do it. I was in the exact same place you were, or where you are. Anne says, in social media posts, do you just use your personal profile that's already there, or do you suggest creating? I suggest creating a whole new profile, a whole new business profile, because this is ultimately what this is. It will, at some point, if you're in this to win this, at some point it will become a business. So I would have a separate account, for sure. Caesar says to Dylan, you ride down the road leading to the village of Nightstone when suddenly you encounter a squirrel. For the D&D. Joy says, hello everyone from a cloudy, cold Southfield, Michigan. I got red velvet donut hole. Sounds so good. But it's cold. The darn things just turned into 24 marbles. Dylan says, and a squirrel chase has been initiated. It can't be there for world building. It's got to mean something. Lacey says, would it be better to start out with commercial or audiobooks? I'm more passionate about audiobooks. I've been practicing by reading books out loud. Do both. Do both. Don't tell yourself it has to be one or the other. Again, don't limit yourself with nonsense. Go try it all. Go do commercials. Go give commercial work a try. Go give audiobooks a try. Go do meditation. Go do podcasts. Go try it all. Try it all. Don't limit yourself. Caesar says to Joy, scratch, scratch, scratch. You're right. I think I lost a tooth. Masonry Construction says, marketing tip, create 3 short audios. All should have your contact info and backlink to your website. You can post to YouTube as an audiogram, as a M4A file, if you use cover art, such as your photo. Easy. Easy. Most of you are just going, what? I don't understand. My head just blew up. Anne says to Joy, that was a great visual. Calrito says, ran out of space on my last question. I have the hardware, software to start. Just need to learn it all, then just start. Yep. Just start. Join groups. Get some friends. Get some peers involved to help you answer questions, guide you. Do it. Joy says to Anne, just don't step on them. It's like stepping on a Lego, right? Dwight says, when identifying what to follow on social medias, don't forget to use the hashtags as your search criteria. It helps set your algorithm settings, examples, book talk, voiceover, VO casting, etc. Diane says, loved your answer, Angela. You definitely gave me ideas about how to check trends so I can roll with the times. Made very good sense. Good. Because sometimes I just, and I don't think I make any sense, but I'm glad that I am. Joey says to Caesar, how are you doing? In my Audacity ACX check, it's my RMS that's failing in my sample, not the noise floor, so I'll be sending you the raw sample today. Masonry Construction says, Kyle Johnson, create auditions, but post them to your own website. I guarantee that you won't ridicule your work. You won't ridicule your work, and that they'll be posted. Have your contact info backlink to your website. Lots of great information today. I love it that you guys are sharing. Caesar says to Joy, send me both the raw and finished file so I can see what's missing. Caesar says, X is a bit of a toxic pool, to be honest. There are a few VO actors there, but most of them are on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. I would have to second that. Pamela, there we go. Pamela said what she said. Intimacy awareness with the mic. No, Caesar. We might need to get the hose for Caesar. Eric Grimes. Hey, Eric. Finally here with glazed Boston cream and French crullers. Definitely will be listening to this again. My weakness is knowing how to market myself and my work. Uh-oh. Here's Caesar. Pam says opposed to with the mic. Okay. He's leaving now. Glowen says the RS books notably seem to just be AI junk. But to have them on my portfolio is my goal, I think. I would still say if if you can't connect with the content, don't just do it to do it. If that's ultimately what it's coming down to, Glauin, don't just do it to do it. You have to connect with the content. If you're not like fully invested, if you don't believe in it, stand by it. If you can't do any of that, I would not just take any old low-hanging fruit. I know something is better than nothing, but I mean, if you're not feeling it, if you're hating it, that's going to come through the read and not do you any good. In the long run, it's just not. Because if you're not feeling it, it's not going to sell, and it was just a waste of time anyway. Maybe not a waste of time. You might have learned quite a bit through the process. I don't try to look at anything as a waste of time. There's good to be found in everything you do, right? But if you don't like it, that disdain is going to come through your read, is ultimately, I think, what I was trying to say. Becca says to Dylan, I'll get to work. Joy says, you'll have both, Caesar. You will have both, Caesar. Pen to Plot podcast says, hey, Angela, this isn't about voice specifically, but how do you avoid scam projects on ACX? I was just scammed and the rights holder wasn't legitimate, but it was hard to tell it was a scam initially. There isn't an end-all, be-all, easy button for detecting scammers. You really just kind of have to trust your intuition. If it's a royalty share book, or really any book, let's just say we're talking ACX specifically, anything that you get an offer to produce, and if you can, even before you even audition for it, you could do a little research on the author themselves and to take a look at their portfolio. Like how many books have they already done? What kind of following do they have? Do they have a website? Are they a legitimate person? You could check out the book on Amazon and see if they have an author page, right? You could even reach out to the author directly. Let's just say they have an author page on Amazon, but you're still not quite sure they're a real person. You could Google them, go to their website, and send them an email and say, hey, I just wanted to double check that this is actually you on ACX. We actually had somebody in my Platinum group do that, and it turned out that the author, that wasn't the author on ACX. That was somebody else impersonating them. And the author was now made aware that that was going on, put the kibosh on it, stopped it, and then said, thank you for letting me know that someone was doing that on ACX. And by the way, I have been thinking about making an audiobook version out of my book. Are you available? Right? So don't think that you can't do those things. You can do those things. It's your job as a professional to verify that, much like the clients do with us, they will go and look at your socials. They will go and look at your website. They want to make sure that you are an actual real person, that you're not using AI voices and stuff like that. You can do the same with your clients. I do it. Go and verify that they are an actual company or an actual person, an actual author, that they, go and do that stuff. You can do that. And I recommend that you do that. Right? Don't just take anything because it's offered. Do your due diligence and Scooby-Doo it a bit. Christine says it kind of like all those duets on the radio. Sometimes they wanted to duet with that artist. Sometimes they hear a certain voice in their head when writing and they have to find who. Glauin says to Pen Plot, we did a whole Tuesday podcast on that 2 or 3 weeks ago. Glauin says a lot of good info that day. Pen to Plot says, Glauin, really? I'll go check it out. Thanks. Pen to Plot says, what's your podcast? Actually, I'm not seeing it. I think he's talking about mine. It's called She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur. It's here on my channel on YouTube as my podcast here on my channel. You can find it directly here on YouTube. Or you could actually just go back through my live streams. All of my live streams like today are recorded and also put onto my YouTube page as well. So just look at the titles. You can find it either way. Dwight says, don't forget to like, follow, and share. It helps the algos. Yes, it definitely helps my algorithms here. So make sure that you're hitting that like button. And if you're watching this on Team Replay, then please consider subscribing. It does help my content to be found by more people looking for it. So you're doing a favor, you're paying it forward. Thank you very much. Pen to Plot says, ooh, I see. Peak Parable says, with marketing trends, the easiest I have found is auditioning with ACX or a similar start. With Angela, don't just go with low-hanging fruit. I made the mistake of not properly vetting with a 25-hour royalty share book. I did not vet, and major mistake I learned from and will not repeat. I will probably not recoup that hourly time invested. A mistake I made in the beginning when first starting out. Yeah, I think we've all had an oopsie, but you know what? We've all learned so much from it, right? Now you know what to look for or what to do or what not to do. So again, try to look at everything as find the good or the positive in everything that happens for you, right? Because it's not what is happening to you, it's what is happening for you, right? Everything that happens in your life is either for a lesson or a benefit of some sort. Which is it? And what is the benefit? What is the lesson? Everything happens for you, one way or the other, if you look at it that way. It'll definitely help you get through. Pen to Plot says, perfect, Angela. Thank you so much for the insight. Absolutely. All right, y'all. It's 11:11. Look at that. If you believe in those kinds of things. We are going to wrap this one up. Let me take this comment off. I will be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And if there's something specific, as always, that you guys want to talk about, then please leave it in the comments below. Something that you want to discuss in a future live chat. You know, that's what these are for, is to talk about something and to give multiple perspectives and insight or options, comments, tips on whatever that topic is. So if you have something you guys want to talk about, then put it in the comments. So I'm seeing some of the, don't forget to hit the like before I say goodbye. Preferable, but yes. All right, everybody, I'm going to go. I'll see you guys all next week. And until then, have a great VO day. Bye.